I thought there were a few things you should know about this little guy, the DJI Osmo action camera. If you're looking for epic shots, you should probably go look somewhere else. If you are considering or just bought this camera, want to know how it works and see a few test shots, this video is for you. And of course, my version of how to design a proper action camera at the end of this video. Opening the package, the first thing I noticed is I can't close the box again. Now this is just my thing. You can't fold the flap top back into the box. I know this is an action camera and that's why people buy it, but that's not my use and I like to be able to put things back in the box. Yeah, petty, isn't it? Here's what you get in the base product. You've got your little camera on this little white box and that's pretty much it. Now, in the box, we've got the battery that comes in a case. You've got the thumb screw like the GoPro, two bottom mounts that attach to the camera, a serial card, sure, steal mine, a power cord, and you get this. That, I thought, was the user manual. So, I want first to open the manual and see what this is all about. I open the manual, and I've got contents. And the print is so small, this is what it looked like to my eyeballs. I've got the contents, then I got disclaimers, and warnings, and safety guidelines, and cautions, and some notices, and specs. Then we go to another language. This whole thing is just pages and pages of the same stuff in other languages. In other words, this is not a manual, it's a bunch of lawyer crap which you can just throw away. Okay, so now we've got the Osmo action camera, which is pretty cool. Comes with all these connectors which I think are GoPro compatible. You slide this on here and screw in the thumb screw just like that. The first thing I did was figure out how to open it. Couldn't initially and saw this little dude on top. You just flip it open, it's tight, and that's good. Flip up the top lever and drop the back down. Now, when I got mine, this camera would not come out. I was pressing on the camera and lens and I was afraid I was going to break something. What happens is it's really tight, and that's because it's new, so don't worry about it. But taking it out a few times, it comes right out with no problem. It's just the initial molding in the camera. It's new and it's no problem after a few removals. Next, number 2, you're going to want to install the battery. Open the case and remove the battery. You're going to want to purchase an extra 1 or 2 of these, and I think they're like $20 or something. Place the battery into the bottom of the camera. Don't worry, it won't go backward, so if it doesn't fit, just flip it around and press it in until it clicks. Now it's working and ready to shoot. We've got our camera, we've got our case, lose that, and you're basically here with what you get for shooting, the camera, the case, and the mount. I really do like that these mounts twist off. Just press the lever, twist it off, grab another, twist the new one on, and it clicks and locks into place. That's handy, good, smart plastic design. I'm not going to put this in the case yet as I want to show you something you may have difficulty with. The first thing I noticed on this that I did not like, you have this little cover. This is the micro SD slot for the micro SD card. Oh yeah, didn't show you the recharging cord. It's about 1 foot long, a bit short for my taste, but you can always extend it if needed with an adapter, so should work fine. Anyway, this thing right here, you've got a small micro SD card. You want to get this little card in here, like this, upside down. If you think you're just going to push it in with your finger, think again. That ain't going to happen, and it won't lock into place. You've got to get your fingernail just right on this thing. Nope, that didn't work. Maybe the thumbnail. Ha! That worked and got it in. Now this little door comes off, by the way. This whole thing is recessed, So you try to get that card out by pressing with your finger, that's not going to happen. I found using my thumbnail seems to work best. Now it's a tiny bit out, don't know if you can see that there. So, if you don't have good fingernails or you bite your nails or something, you're gonna have a heck of a time getting the card in and out. It's a pain in the butt, but after a few times you figure it out and it goes pretty well. Close the door and you're ready to go. Most everything about this is really cool. Let's take a look at the camera and the menus. It took me a while to figure this all out, and I thought this would really help someone who just got the camera. Before we do that, let me give you my best advice for these action cameras and phone shooting and all that. That's to bring along what most people forget. By far, the best tool to carry with you is one of these, a microfiber cloth. When you're using your little cams or phones or whatever, just a little wipe on the lens and you're good. When you get your footage back to your computer, there's nothing worse than seeing it was all shot with dust or dirt or particles you didn't notice after a day of shooting. A simple look at the lens and a quick wipe will save your sanity. Well, for most people. Let's take a look at the camera. Let's take a look at the menus. I'll tell you a few things I really like about it, a couple I don't like about it. Then we're going to go through how I think an action camera should be designed, just to have a little fun with it. Okay, we got the Osmo action camera on the case, so let's mount the camera into the case, put the camera into the case, lock it down, and you're ready to go. Now on the side, notice that little door covers up the SD card, so there's no way to change out the card that I know of when this camera is mounted in the case. So you have to pull the camera out of the case to change the SD card. Not a big deal, it's an action camera. You can remove the little door, but I was afraid to do that and get dust, dirt, and water in the camera. To turn the camera on, it's a simple button press on top. You'll see the red, then green light. It comes on very, very fast. Let's look at the back. And let's move this closer so you can see this thing fully. And let's put some stuff behind the camera so you can see what the camera sees and maybe move this camera into view. You'll notice this camera has a very wide field of view, and that's normal for action cameras and what you want. When I first got this and fired it up, I had no idea how to control it or do the settings, and I discovered by accident the following. First thing is, by pressing and holding the side button, the camera swaps from the back screen to the front screen and makes a swoop sound. Now we're on the front-facing screen, which, by the way, is stupidly obvious now that they've done this on an action camera. Some people have complained that this view on the front is a square view and they want to see the whole shot, and that's cool. You can set this screen to a 16:9 view or this square view. It looks like 4:3 or 4:4, and I'll show you that in a moment. Again, press and hold the side button. It swaps back to the back screen. And remember, if you do this while recording, the camera will stop recording and you'll have to press record again. Not a big deal, and I'm okay with that. Now, you want to know how the heck you get to the settings and menus and all the other goodies. It's amazingly simple if you know how. For example, I can swipe from the right edge to the left. There's my auto and manual mode settings. Let's put it in manual mode. I can go over and let's say I want to set the shutter speed and just roll to the fixed shutter speed I want. You can also set the ISO to manual, all this stuff in here, and I'm just going to leave it on auto mode just for now. So next, when you're done doing your settings, you just swipe again from left to right to hide that setting panel. By the way, it's swipe from left to right to review footage you've shot. Next thing is, I couldn't figure out how to set up certain shooting modes. The button on the left, held down, swaps the front and right camera. A single press and you get the quick switch menu. It comes and goes fast if you don't select. There's video, HDR video mode, slow motion mode, and time-lapse mode. If you do that, the screen closes and now you're in that mode. You didn't pick it, it just figures that's what you wanted. It's on time lapse, so let's pick something and boom, we're ready to go in video mode again. Next, discovering the swipe thing, I wondered where my settings for the camera are. And that's a swipe down. There's a ton of stuff in here. This guy here, awesome. Once you get your camera configured or your shooting configured, you just press this and you get a new configuration saved to the camera. You pick it and the camera says, okay, you're shooting in 4K at this shutter speed, at this ISO, at this many frames per second, Rocksteady is on, yada, yada, yada. You hit that and it saves it. That's really, really cool. That's just the screen. If I want to dim my screen, it says battery life, but I like it all the way up. Locking the screen is interesting. Now the screen is locked. You don't want to be messing around and hitting buttons accidentally, so now when I touch the screen, I have to swipe up to unlock the screen, and now the screen is unlocked. Next is this mode right here, that's on auto. This controls how the screen flips, so when you flip the camera upside down, all the screen controls switch to match how you're looking at it. You see them flip upside down and return to normal when you rotate the camera back to normal. There are times you may want to fix the screen flip depending on what you're shooting and how you're looking at the screen. This is spot metering mode, kind of like on my iPhone. You poke at something, it attempts to meter the image. I don't think it works all that well, but you see the auto exposure is now locked, and like your phone, it will keep everything locked to that point, so when you're moving from dark to light, it doesn't adjust automatically. Let's go back in and turn spot metering off. Next is voice control, which I've just turned on. I leave mine off because I'm talking right now. You need to make sure you go to the menu settings, go to voice control, and turn it on. On the other menu, turning it on won't do anything if this one is not turned on. Notice how the upper right shows voice command is on, that dude with sound waves coming out of his mouth. Now when I turn voice command off, it's off. With it back on, we can tell it what to do. Switch screen. Okay, it just flipped to the front-facing camera. Again, switch screen, and it flips back to the rear-facing camera. Switch screen. Switch screen. There it is. Now I've been talking here, and sometimes that does weird stuff. Let's try this. Start recording. Okay, now we're recording something. Stop recording. Stop recording. Sometimes it gets it, sometimes it doesn't. Shut down. And it shuts down. Let's try this. Start up. Wake up. Get the hell out of bed. See, you can't do that. You have to press the top on button, which makes sense. You wouldn't want this starting up and killing your battery. Super fast startup. It does not remember that the front screen was on, which is fine. That is the voice control. I'm going to turn it off so it doesn't do weird things while I'm talking here. Now, this guy here, when I swap the screen to the front, you'll see the screen is a square, which is cool if you're vlogging or you like that view. You may not want to do that. You may want to see the whole picture. Let's swap this back to rear-facing camera. Pull down the menu and let's turn full front screen off. Now what happens when we switch from the rear screen to the front screen, you get a full 16:9 and can see everything that is being captured while recording. I like having the option. Let's swap that back and let's pull down the setting menu again and set the front screen back to full or square. Now those are just some of the things, all the goodies that this camera has, which are located here on the gear icon. You have voice control. You can turn it on and off, or you can say what language it uses, and there's a command list in here. You can say start recording, stop recording, take photo, screen switch, and shut down. That's what those are about. Very cool. I imagine they may add more. They haven't said that. You have snapshots and how those are taken, how quick switch works, wireless connection, whether you want wind noise reduction or not, how loud you want the camera sounds like startup and shutdown, whether you want a grid on or off. You can set the anti-flicker, which I leave on auto, useful for flicker lighting and how long it takes for the screen to go to sleep. When I first got this, the screens kept shutting down on me while I was trying to learn it. It was like 2 minutes or something and drove me crazy. Just turn that off until you get really used to using the camera menus. Auto power off. LEDs, the LED lights on the front that blink, what language you're using. You can turn everything off or everything on and set to only the front LED while recording. We have the menu languages, the date and time, formatting the SD card. You go in there, you pick OK, and this formats this 32 gigabyte card very, very fast. And as I mentioned, it has fast startup. You can factory reset to default and an about, which you'll mostly use to see the firmware version and if you need to update it, but the phone app will tell you, as you'll see in a minute. Okay, when you get this camera, you're going to have to download the phone app, which is the DJI Mimo. The Mimo is designed for this in the Osmo Pocket. Turn it this way so you can see, and this start screen in the app doesn't flip. Okay. You press the little camera icon to connect the device. Let's bring it up here. You punch on connect to connect the device. It looks for it. It's a Wi-Fi connection. It asks to join the network. Say yes. It finds the action camera, and you're connected. The first time you connect it, it will have you do all sorts of things. Right now, it's showing me what everything is and how to use it. Okay, now we're ready, and it's all connected. If I hit record, bam, it's recording. I'm seeing it over here and seeing it over here. It's definitely doing what it's supposed to be doing and recording. You can see the audio levels. You can switch the camera. It's got all the controls and everything else. You don't have to use this app. However, you do have to get this app if you want to get the Osmo action going and registered and operating. It's free. If you're adverse to that, well, just don't buy the thing. Okay, that's pretty cool. I like this. I can set something up, especially for me, like B-roll up in the corner of a room or something, and I can see what I'm doing here and start the thing and stop the thing without going up and down on a ladder and stuff like that, which is perfect. Okay, cool on the phone app. Now we're back to this guy. Here's another swipe I found down here. Swipe up. Oops, we better stop recording first. The swipe up is where you control the resolution. You see the rock steady stabilization is on. Let's go down to 720p, that's 1280 wide by 720 high. Notice you don't get rock steady in 720 and 240 frames per second, which would be insane. We switched to 1080, not available again at 240. Now in 2.7K, max of 60 frames per second, you can use rock steady stabilization. In 2 to 7K, 4 to 3 ratio, you can get rock steady stabilization. I guess people use 4 to 3 for Instagram or whatever, 30 frames per second max. 4K rock steady and additional frame rate choices, 4K and 4 to 3, no rock steady and a max of 30 frames per second. Back to 4K. The frame rates are dependent on the resolution. In 4K, I have 24, 25, 30, 48, 50, Europe thanks you again, and a max of 60 frames per second. The point is the frames per second depend on the resolution. In 1080, you'd have 48, 50, 100, 120, 200, and 240 frames per second. Really cool is you can shoot some really cool, sweet footage at 240 frames per second. And if you didn't know this, that's how you do those sweet slow-mo shots. I'll just leave mine set at 4K with rock-steady stabilization on. This time it's a swipe from top to bottom to hide that menu and go back to shooting. You can tell as I move this camera around, it's got some kind of whacked out alien stabilization in there. What blew me away is no other camera I have can withstand this banging, jarring hits like this on the desk and not smash the image to smithereens. Normally you just see this awful jarring, and you'll see how good this is when I show you shots from my car. I did want to show you some footage, nothing spectacular, just some unplanned shots. I've used stabilizers and all sorts of gadgets, and I am terrible at doing it and have to walk funny. Here I'm just walking through a forest and yanking the camera around while doing so, and it does a nice job of taking out my clumpy foot bangs. Here's some backward stuff, uncorrected and all on auto. I played with HDR a bit. I don't have a lot of footage to show you at this time. The main purpose of this video was for people who got this or wanted to get this, having it arrive at their door and not spending hours trying to figure out all the features and functionality and how to set it up. Here I'm doing a thing to test me running. Now, me running, I am the worst runner that ever ran. Clumpy, and I got the camera purposefully moving all over the place. Never had a camera in my hands that worked for my normal gait. Here I'm running, and I wish you could see me as my feet are slamming into the pavement and my arm is moving all over the place, and frankly, I am super impressed to see how this footage looks. So if you see weird artifacts or whatever, sorry, but that's YouTube. Well, here I am in the car, and it's freaking bright out. I just wanted to test. I just have it sitting on the dashboard. Excuse me. I'm sitting on the dashboard, just wanted to test. The worst thing I've had is cameras in a car. And every camera I've had in a car has always been shaky. I've tried mounting them in the cars, I've used stabilizing as a car, and they're okay. But they hit these bumps like I'm hitting right now. I don't even know if you can see these. And they really jar the thing. And so I'm testing it right now to see if that's going to be true. Now there's a couple of things that I'm wondering about while doing this little test. One is the audio. This thing's maybe, it's got to be 2.5, maybe 3 foot away. 1, 2, yeah, it's got to be 2.5 foot away. So I have no idea if the audio is good or if the audio sucks. I also have the air conditioning running, if you hear that, and not the radio, because I didn't know if you wanted to hear tunes. You probably want to hear tunes more than me. From what I can tell on the front-facing camera that I'm watching right now, I don't see a lot of jiggle or stuff like that, and I am hitting bumps. I mean, kapoop, kapoop in the car. But granted, this is a nice car, and it rides really nice, but the suspension is really tight. And when I've had a camera in this car before, you get that judder, that chicka, chicka, chicka. I don't see that, but until I get the footage in on the camera here, I won't really know. So there's that test. I wanted to see if, do I get a lot of bounce when I hit these bumps? Do I get a lot of judder? Do I get a lot of weird stuff? How does the HDR do? What happens when I'm driving along this road? There's a bump, there's another bump. Coming up to there's a bump. That was a big bump. There's another bump. If you've ever been on the back roads of Oregon, you know these roads here, I don't know what. We don't pay sales tax, but we pay buckets of income tax. So I don't know why they don't fix these roads. Probably because, I don't know. Here goes a bump. Boom. That was a really good bump. I'm going to try and hit an actual bump here. Boom. There we go. Boom, 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 bam. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be fine. Oh, there's another big bump over a bridge. Here comes a big one. Boom. Okay, I did want to do a quick test on how it sounds. I am walking, so I believe the Rocksteady's on, maybe? I hope. But I wanted to get the audio. I'm about a foot away from here. I know the other test, I was in my car, and you know, I had the air conditioning going and the road noise going. This is just me walking. There's an airport around here. Okay, now I'm just holding this thing in my hand. I have the Rocksteady on, and I just wanted to do a little comparison with the way I clomp and the way I walk. I don't know. Now here's that same shot. Last one was with the rock steady off. I have the rock steady on, and again, I'm moving, my hands are moving, my foot are clomping all over the place. Now here's that same shot. Last one was with the rock steady off. I have the rock steady on, and again, I'm moving, my hands are moving, my foot are clomping all over the place. Okay, I wanted to do another test of the rock steady. I want to see how it handles this. Let's check it out. Takes a licking, keeps on ticking.
Stop recording.
Okay, just a few more things about this new action camera from DJI. The one thing I would have really liked to see is that they include an SD card with the camera. Now, there are other people offering this with options and accessories at a greater cost, but come on, DJI. Someone who doesn't know better buys and sends this gift to a kid or a teen. They open the box excited as hell, and they can't use the camera after opening it. Any product should include the minimum things it needs to at least work after paying for it. My other recommendation is to buy at least one, if not two extra batteries and a charger. I think the batteries are about $20. You're going to get roughly 60 minutes out of each battery, maybe more, depending on your settings. I would definitely buy some more batteries, especially when you first get it and are learning how to use it. That way you don't have to worry about it. I hope that helps you use your new Osmo action camera and clears up any questions you may have. Now, I said I would show you if I had designed this, what it would look like, because there are some design flaws in this. I mean, I should be able to mount a small light like this on top of the camera, so a shoe mount or a light stand pin would have been a nice addition. In fact, it should come with a light like this. Next, I mean, come on. Why no interchangeable lenses? I mean, I should be able to take any Canon or Sony or any other lens, just take off the lens and mount this thing right on there with this interchangeable lens just like that. Oh, and built-in ND filters. I think bigger batteries would good, like 2 of these kinds of batteries, which should be included. I also think it should have a top mount. And an HDMI out so I can mount a monitor on top. In fact, it should have at least a 7-inch built-in monitor already mounted on top. So you could have this thing with your lens on the front, and the built-in HDMI monitor on the top, and maybe this side light mounted to the camera unit. You know, it's not hard. Then maybe you could also include a cool shotgun mic mounting, or better yet, the shotgun mic built into the other awesome built-in features, but I mean, it doesn't have an audio port on this, so it should be built in. So you just put that mic in there like that. And it should be designed for easy on and off of all the built-ins using this waterproof tape built out of protective nanobots, which makes the production easy because you just throw this tape all over, and by the time it arrives after shipping, the nanobots have figured out how all this stuff meshes together. Wait. Oh, that's right. I said no audio ports. So let's add something with at least 3 XLR inputs, separate recorder that records to both the camera and the unit. I mean, we just stick this down here and just move a few things around and let the nano tape box figure out how all this should go together. You could be nice and give them a little help, but they'll learn if you show them a little bit about the arrangement of how this unit should look. I mean, check it out. This is how an actual action camera should look and what features it should have. And there you go, your mixer and XLR jacks, a recorder, the shotgun mic that feeds into the mixer and the camera, interchangeable lenses, our 7-inch built-in monitor and light. Now that's the way to design an action camera. If DJI is listening, design an action camera like that, because you know, this little tiny stuff just ain't working for us.